Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. So, Barry Jackson, who the Miami fan base seems to have a love-hate relationship for, wrote a very scathing article for the Miami Herald. Now, before I delve on what I take away from the particular article, I will say this. To me, it seemed like there's a lot of finger pointing going on, and this article does not disclose anything that we have not heard before from previous regimes, right? So, let's delve in. The first thing that really took me off track, so to speak, was that from a talent perspective, right? And it's so many different metrics that value talent and all this stuff, and it's not always accurate with some of the calculations and things like that. But from a talent perspective, we're supposed to be top 15 in a particular country, right? But as we know, that's just based on rankings. That does not talk about the development of said players. It just leaves so many things out. It's just a very broad, ranking and rating, but it's used in some arguments, in some situations. But with that being said, according to Barry Jackson, someone within UM said that even though that ranking was 13th, we did not have enough talent to beat the Duke Blue Devils. Now, we had 8 turnovers that game, right? We had 8 turnovers that game. And the reality of the situation is this. If you have 8 turnovers in a game, the odds of you winning the game are very slim, right? So I took that as a sign of finger pointing, right? I don't think the University of Alabama, I don't think the 01 Hurricanes team, let's just go to the top of the heap. I don't think the Miami Hurricanes 2001 team would be able to overcome 8 turnovers, especially if some of those turnovers happen in positions on the field that forced them to play on the short field. I don't think any team could overcome that, right? So we got that at play. Then getting back to the talent, spoke about Jimmy Johnson going on the Joe Rose show and saying, well, coach, we're missing pieces in certain positions. And to hear something like that said about a Miami Hurricane team is something that you're just not supposed to hear. But my rebuttal to that is, it's a lot of teams that are missing key pieces at certain positions. And it's only a handful of teams that have that depth that when a guy goes down, you have someone that's just as talented as him to step up. That's only a handful of teams. So, not disagreeing with Coach Johnson, because again, he knows way more about the game than I have done way more. But the reality of the situation is this. Yes, in the grand scheme of things, Miami is not supposed to be lacking talent in key positions, in certain positions. But the reality of the situation is that for the past 20 years, Miami has not been the standard that Jimmy Johnson was a part of. So I agree with it, but then I also have to put it into the context of what it was. Because I was one who felt like that, yes, Manny Diaz did not recruit certain positions. I don't think Manny Diaz was a good recruiter just in general, right? So obviously we would be devoid in certain locations. This is where I feel like I've heard this song and dance before. When they talked about that certain Manny players were, I'll just say cancers. I don't have to get into the entire verbiage, but just cancers. They were groaning about things. They were upset. They were bringing the team morale down and all these particular things. And once we are able to flip the roster, these issues will be alleviated. Well, it's interesting, right? Because as I've told you on another video, I go back to Al Golden. right? As far as understanding the ins and outs of what's going on here. I heard some of these same things from when Al Golden took over the Miami Hurricanes team. I remember Al Golden said that we would not have any more 210-pound linebackers going on the field. We are going to fix the nutrition for the team, because there were fans that said under the Randy Shannon administration, the players were eating fried chicken and fried shrimp and all these things. They weren't eating what they needed to eat. Al Golden brought in the training table, things that larger programs have that gave us the edge, right? Brought in U Tough, right? Players not buying into U Tough, right? Then we fast forward to Mark Richt. Mark Richt, again, an established head coach, doing things differently from Al Golden. Man, Al Golden has players that should not have even ever got a scholarship offer for the University of Miami. He introduced the mat drills. Players are not able to finish the mat drills, talking about how hard the mat drills are. Manny Diaz comes in, takes shots at Coach Richt. Similar to, I don't think it got as bad as what it was between Coach Richt and Jeremy Pruitt, in the sense that Jeremy Pruitt almost came off as if he was trying to backdoor and get the Georgia job, right? But that was that. Going back to the story, I still haven't brought the video from my other page over here, but one of the things that a lot of Miami Hurricane fans said, who were in the know, because that's where I get a lot of my information from. Some of you guys that are insiders, so I'm just gonna put it right back out there. And if you jump to the other side of the street, fine by me, but I still remember when you was on this side. And the thing was this: Manny Diaz is a disciplinarian. I still remember this story where it was stated Shaquille Quarterman went to Coach Diaz and said, "Coach, we're trying to live. The strength and conditioning coach is not there." Fans saying Mark Richt allowed for the culture to slip. He was not a disciplinarian. Manny's going to change that. So now here we go again. Well, you know, Manny had that country club atmosphere. Guys weren't practicing. Guys were being lazy. Guys didn't want to do this. Guys didn't want to do that. And I'm saying this is the same song and dance. Coach Cristobal comes in making similar shots that every other coach has made about the previous coach. Paraphrasing, we're not going to do chains, all this tweeting, all this extra stuff. We're not going to do that. We're going to get to work. It's the same rhetoric that every previous coach has said. It's the same thing. So it seems that people are, we are rinse and repeat. Now, the only difference this time around is that unlike his predecessors, Coach Cristobal does not have to wait 3 to 4 years to get the roster turned around. Now, remember this, right? Al Golden was able to get a couple of transfers to come into this program. It was almost, so looking back on it, it's kind of a telltale sign. It was kind of some tea leaves, like, hey, we need some players, right? Coach Richt, you know, inherited some transfers that Coach Golden got, because remember, Gerald Willis was a transfer, right? Big time, big pickup, right? Obviously, we know Coach Diaz was able to work wonders in the transfer portal with some of the guys, De'Aaron King, Jalen Phillips, just to note Charleston Rambo, right? And so Coach Cristobal gets to seemingly be on steroids with attacking the portal, and as well as getting the recruiting classes, right? And also having the resources. But I've seen this before. The blame game. It's the previous coach's fault. His lack of discipline, his lack of structure, all of this stuff. This is the reason that we're like this. And it's no different. It's no different. Right? Now the article is scathing because the thing is this, is like, we're talking, I think also he said that one of the staffers may have said that the talent was overrated. And I'm like, come on, man. If you felt like this, the portal could have been attacked harder. Now, somebody may say, well, Shad, Coach Mario is only going to bring in players from the portal that are going to be contributors. He's not just filling spots to fill spots. And I'm going to say two things about that. I'm going to say two things. Just because you evaluate a talent does not mean that the evaluation that you have and what that player is going to bring to the table are going to come to fruition. It's just a guess. We don't know what the player will do. And secondly, we brought in guys in the portal who are no different or no better than the guys that were already here. So an additional 9 guys or 10 guys, I don't think would have made that big of a, I don't think would have devalued or watered down what we already have. Now, let me tell you something that's different this time around. Never heard year 0 before. Never heard that before. So this was year 0. This year did not count. This was almost, I don't even know what you can compare this to, right? I guess you know how schools, when they get sanctioned by the NCAA take away wins and stuff like that and take away achievements. Well, I guess the NCAA can step in and say, look, Miami, we feel like y'all doing something wild, so we're going to take away the 2022 season. It never happened. So next year will be year 1. But I'm going to tell you what's going on here. And I posted this on 247. This is a huge gamble. This is a huge gamble. Because when you put yourself in a corner like this and you say it's the other coach's fault, it's his players, it's this, and the third, when you're alleviated of the bad or rotten apples and it's just you have nothing to fall back on. But I'm gonna say one thing though. The Avengers, some people have already said, I don't expect next year to be that much better. I'm expecting maybe 7-5, 8-4 next year. I mean, I'm expecting that. So if you're already forecasting that to be what it is next year,
hey, I'm gonna pull up behind you.
I'm sorry for that noise. But if you're already forecasting that to be what we have next year, then what have we actually seen? What improvement have we seen then? Because I mean, yeah, you could say, well, yeah, 2 or 3 more wins are there. But then to me, it kind of goes back to, okay, well, you said injuries were the reason that we didn't win. So if you're telling me that had not been for injuries, we could have won 7 or 8 games this year, and then we rinse the roster of the bad apples and we turn around again being healthy, moderately healthy, and have 7, 8 wins again, how can we turn around and say that it was a talent issue? I'm asking, right? But in any regard, Manny, it's your fault. And it's your fault. And Manny before you was Mark Rick fault. And Mark Rick before you was Al Golden. And Al Golden before you was Randy Shannon. And Randy Shannon before you, it was Larry Coker. Beautiful. But if the article's still there, I implore any of y'all to go read it and tell me that this could not be counted. Oh yeah, another thing. That was a big fight. Big fight during the Florida State week. Remember, it was a big fight last year. Nesta Severa. Remember that big fight? Then I think maybe it was a fight under Mark Richt. And then I remember the situation with Chad Thomas and one of the older guys. You remember? So, hey, we already on track. The difference is I don't think these fights occurred in year 1 though. So that maybe Mario, you may have that going in your favor. But as always, man, it's all about the you. Thanks to everyone that subscribed to the page. For rocking with me, and as always, please comment in the comment section. You know what I mean? And it's about the you. I'm out.